this is MTG Nexus coming at you with some Izzet Prowess tonight. As I did say on the YouTube channel we'd be doing tonight, in addition to doing a little bit more with our Human Warrior on World of Warcraft. As our friendly reminder, if you like red-based content, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, giving us a follow here on Twitch, and if you really like this kind of content and would like to support the channel, please consider giving us your Twitch Prime here on Twitch. So, been a minute since we've visited Izzet Blitz, Izzet Prowess, whatever you wish to call it. We've been primarily working on Burn and some mono red variants, mainly based around Hayashi's build, going back to the Blue Splash, which is primarily for different threats in the form of Sprite Dragon and Stormwing Entity. Does have slightly different deck building constraints than a deck like Mono Red. Mono Red, the traditional variant, obviously built around Bedlam Reveler, getting cards in the graveyard for that, and then playing a clean mana base that allows them to have some canopy lands, while at the same time also having access to Blood Moon out of the sideboard. The Izzet variant, obviously, mana is a little less clean. You're taking a little bit more damage from your mana base for a couple more powerful evasive threats. Beyond that, there are some filler cards like Opt that help get cards trigger Prowess for your Monastery Swift Spears and your Soulscar Mages. And then obviously Stormwing Entity, much like something like Chandra's Incinerator. Hey Endo, 3 months, thanks, that's just awesome. So, the main thing with this build is you're primarily built around the concept of trying to leverage your 1-drops and then get your Sprite Dragons and Stormwing Entities down. This deck often has a little bit more setup than the how's your day going, Ando? Than the Mono Red variant, but at the same time does at least have the ability to fly over things like Wormcoil Engines and Thragtusks and Tarmogoyfs to end the game if your opponent cannot answer Sprite Dragon and Stormwing Entity. As far as Stormwing Entities setup, it does require playing a spell to get the reduced casting cost for 1 and a blue. Metamorphose, obviously the perfect spell for this, but in addition to that you have things like Gutshot and Mutagenic Growth. The Phyrexian spells, Mutagenic Growth, can be used to protect your Swift Spears and Soulscar Mages and Sprite Dragons and such from bolts. Then in addition to that, you have Lightning Bolts, Lava Darts, Gut Shots, and some Burst Lightnings in this thing to either dome your opponent or deal with your opponent's creatures. And then one of Brazen Borrower here, along with 3 copies of Light Up the Stage. Brazen Borrower gives you a main deck out to something like Chalice of the Void, at least for a turn. And then Light Up the Stage, along with Metamorphose, allows you to kind of churn through your deck. Beyond that, and you also have Stormwing Entity's Scry ability. And you have some canopy lands here in the form of Fiery Islet. This version notably has no basic island, which I think was a mistake in the last version we played. I was very disappointed in that anytime we drew it, and especially in our opening hand. I think that was to facilitate Blood Moon out of the sideboard, and I don't honestly think Blood Moon is the best hate out of the Izzet variety. I think Cleansing Wildfire is probably the better particular hate in that regard. Especially against Tron and Eldrazi Tron, just setting them back a land, and them acquiring Tron. Kozilek's Return, obviously primarily here for small creature decks, but also against Burn. Deals with Core Firewalker, as it's a devoid card, which means it's colorless. So even though it's a red spell, it's colorless and can kill Core Firewalker. Gets around the protection ability. Abrade does some double duty as both a shatter effect and another answer to creatures. Couple copies of Dragon's Claw to race in the mirror matches, couple copies of Ether Gust, which is just a pretty good card overall in the format, a lot of Uro decks, a lot of Burn and Prowess decks. Spell Pierce is an interesting protection thing as opposed to something like Mystical Dispute. Obviously, if you run into less blue decks, Spell Pierce is probably just strictly better. And then 2 copies of Surgical Extraction for things like Uro, and also to have some light graveyard hate against something like Dredge. So that said, let's hop into some matches and see how we do in the league tonight. Hopefully a little bit better than we've been doing. But 3-way tie atop the, or 4-way tie atop the leaderboard here for trophy leaders. Quite some competition Hayashi has this time around. Alright. Sure, good luck. Glad to hear you're doing well, Ando. This hand is awkward, to say the least. I think this is a Maul. Although Swiftspear and the Swiftspear, and that seems fine. I guess I talked myself into keeping this hand. It's not the best, but it's... When you're dealing with a 1-land or an 18-land deck, it's a little bit harder to mulligan hands than opposed to like a 20-land deck. Obviously, this hand could go sideways pretty quickly, but it does have the potential for quite a bit of burst damage, especially since it looks like we're up against something like Eldrazi Tron, or it could just be opponent mulliganing bad hands. Or if they happen to know what decks I tend to personally play, they might be mulliganing to an anti-red card hand, or they could be Bogles. So, see which ends up playing out here. See if we're up against some type of degenerate mid-range or degenerate deck, or if we're just against a opponent who's a bit unlucky. Okay, we're up against a degenerate opponent. Gotcha. We just mutagenic growth. So, do we die this turn, or do we kill them next turn? Alright, getting the win, game 1, kind of important. Most likely up against Belcher, so we probably want Spell Pierces. Surgicals I don't think are particularly good against them. Like we have to catch like a duplicate spell of whatever they have going off. Aether Gust might be okay because their mana sources are red, so being able to put like an Ironcrag Feet or something back seems decent. Cleansing Wildfire could be okay because they don't play basics, but I don't know that we actually want a Braid. Like a Stormwing Entity. Cards are not particularly good here. Just like trim some of the a little bit of slower elements to the deck. Like we want a little bit of disruption, potentially with a little bit of, or quite a bit of aggression. This hand looks great, except we have no lands, unfortunately. This hand's more acceptable. I guess I'm putting back mutagenic growth. Is that the case here? Or am I putting back like Lava Dart? Oh, they might be oops all spells, but I don't think that really changes our sideboarding. So we're dead on turn 1? Cool. The problem with oops all spells is Spell Pierce is actually considerably worse against it. So I am going to go ahead and get Swiftspear down. Although we could die this turn, their payoffs are usually Undercity Informer and whatchamacallit, so it's really not going to matter if I hold up a Spell Pierce this turn, I don't think. Okay, so we're dead. Gotcha. Now they're going to flip their whole deck and kill us. So, nothing terribly cute going on here. And they do this thing. I believe some combination, I guess we'll let them demonstrate. Salvage Titan, I think they get that back some way, somehow. They sacrifice 3 artifacts. And then they get back... How does that get back the Vengevines, though? That's the part I'm, like, kind of dumbfounded on. Oh, because that's... The creature is... Yeah. The first one was the Undercity Informer. And then the Salvage Titan is the alternative cast. Sacrifice 3 artifacts, then play its artifact cost. And you can exile 3 artifacts in your graveyard to return it to your hand. So no matter what zone it ends up in, either your hand or your graveyard, you can get it to your back to your hand. Sacrifice your Sword of the Meeks, and then kill that way. So you effectively do 4 Vengevine plus 4 Creeping Chill, do basically lethal. So Ether Gust here is actually pretty bad now that we know that they're on. Surgical Extraction actually is very good, because if you surgically extract their swords or their Vengevines, then they just sit there and go herpa-derpa-derpa-derp. Cleansing Wildfire might be kind of meh. Braid might be okay in that slot. So because they showed us the cards they showed us in game 1, we thought they were on. I thought they were on Belcher. Turns out they were actually on Oops All Spells. This hand doesn't do anything. Like, we have turn 2 Stormwing Entity, but that just is too slow. This hand isn't great either, but I think it might be a keep. Keep this one, put back a Lava Dart, I guess. Well, it's a little bit different setup here in Modern. They don't have access to Dread Return, so they just use Salvage Titan plus Vengevines to kill you. Plus a whole bunch of Creeping Chills. So there theoretically is board positions where the deck doesn't kill. I don't think we quite have the kill lined up here, but we can make their life pretty unfortunate. Holding on to the gut shot in case we hit like a Stormwing Entity next turn. Or a light up the stage, you know, one of those kind of things. Decent chance we could be dead here. So they could possibly be at 6. But we're just dead to Creeping Chills at this point. Alright, I mean, that's a okay draw. The 6. Alternatively, I could put them to 4. If I do it next turn, doesn't make much of a difference. It makes 1 point extra difference. So they'd go to 6 here, and it still wouldn't be lethal with just this next turn, because this would be down to 5. 2/2 would put them to 1. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to do it this turn. Don't know that putting them to 4 makes much of a difference, but Swiftspear there obviously would have been like much better. Alright, let's hope we hit something good here. Well, I mean, Surgical Extraction's okay, I guess. Still think it can kill us, unfortunately. Like, a lot of it depends on what's in their hand, honestly. Yeah, not much I can do about that. I think no matter what we surgical here, we're just dead. I think we have to do the chills and hope they screw up somehow. So then they just get to salvage Titan. Seems good. Seems good, seems good. You need to be able to relic and crack it. So probably Tormods would probably be better. Or we need to be at a higher life total. So. Sounds fine. Not like super exciting, but fine. Yeah, Tormod would be better than Relic in that space. So Death and Taxes. Cool. Let's see if our opponent blocks here. Hopefully they don't have Leonin Arbiter here. Stoneforge Mystic, sure. No blocks, huh? Is this what they refer to by doing the thing? So we're up against some variant of Death and Taxes. Probably want the Abrades. Might want the Kozilek's Returns. Cleansing Wildfire's iffy. Ether Gust is a no. Spell Pierce is a no. Shiva Stormwing Entity. Shave the Ops. Try it like that. Unfortunately, a mulligan. This hand's okay, but not fantastic. Still think we keep. Back on mutagenic growth, most likely. Hands like this, you like legit wish you had like some way to punish them for this bullshit. I'm gonna keep a one-lander, ha ha ha. Sure. Speaking of one-landers, we're going to be punished for our one land. Keep. Green, white, death, and taxes? Their mana base is like super, super greedy. Wow. We're just going to have to pass. Like, we have the spells to destroy them, we just can't. Gotta do something here. Yeah, ironically, the life gain doesn't matter. Like, that's what's so ridiculous about Prowess, is the life gain does not matter. Like, the racing and them dealing us damage, that matters. Life gain itself doesn't matter. That's annoying. Still don't think any of the other cards make sense. So I'd like to play first. 4 land, no creatures, can't keep. I mean, we gotta keep this hand, but like, Once again, we have the one land problem. Keeping the one Manamorphose, not both. They probably have some type of taxing effects like Thalia potentially, so... guess we attack first. See if they block. Obviously they don't. He's got to give them the opportunity, right? And of course this game, they have like the perfect mana. Maybe we were supposed to mull to 5. Like, I understand the reasoning why you only play 18 lands in these decks, but sometimes on Magic Online it just feels like you can't ever draw that second land, or you just see a hand with 4. It's like... I understand variance is a thing. 18, which is pretty typical of these Prowess lists. But it's just extremely frustrating. Like, I literally can't do anything here. Like, I guess I can try to attack and induce a block here. And hope they don't have a path. Yeah, I guess that's the line we take. They get a free block anyway. That's how many they've been... See, yeah, this, like, accomplishes nothing. But yeah, that's what most of these lists have been running. I mean, I know we have a lot of free spells, but you still have a lot... You still have to hit your second land drop. Like, there's a lot of Manamorphoses. You have the Stormwing entities. You have the... You know, you still need to hit your second and sometimes third land drops. So... Just so annoying because we can't kill Stoneforge Mystic without having to kill Eldrazi Displacer first. They've got to have path to make this block, right? There's no way you make this block and... Oh, you just blink out our creature. Like, I respect most decks in the format, but the Death and Taxes decks are just like, or those green mid-range pile, green blight mid-range piles, whatever, just are like so bad against so many decks. It's like we lost because we got stuck on one land twice, not because what our opponent did was relevant. Like, Prowess legitimately doesn't care about most of what our opponent was doing. It honestly doesn't. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but every list that I see doing well has 18 lands. You know? Can't keep this hand. Keep a hand either. This alright, I guess. Keep. Put back. Probably want these 5 ? Put back Soulscar Mage. Is that crazy? Because we're on the no, we're on the draw. Does that make a difference? Like one of the Soul Scars. No, I understand variance is a part of the game, and I'm not like questioning that. I find it really irritating when a deck like almost always loses to the same reason. Like how is 18 the correct number? Is it just like the number of cantrips and such, or I really don't know. Yeah, even more so than Burn, and it has the same issue as Burn. You have to get your spells out of the hand to win the game. You know? I think 19 or 20 is probably closer to correct. Why? Okay, whatever. Sure. I figure you crack your map before you play Stirrings, but it's been a while since I've played Tron. Maybe I'm not up to date on the latest sequencing. Because you're just going to shuffle all those cards you put on the bottom back into the deck anyway, so I guess, sure, whatever. I'm going to fetch Sith in here a little bit. Doesn't particularly matter, but if I would have known we were against Tron, obviously I would have preferred to have kept Swift Spear, as raw damage is more important. Opponent's going to have Tron next turn. I don't think we're beating all his dust anyway, so I'm not going to play around it. Okay, so we're doing 4 damage this turn, playing another threat. So they'd be at 14. 2, 4, 7, 10, 11. Gut shot's not enough next turn, so we got to bottom it. It's obviously presuming our opponent has nothing of relevance, which they probably will. Well, Ulamog doesn't come down for another turn, so I have to try to kill them before that point in time. Like, Trinisphere would probably be the worst thing they can grab here. They might have something worse, obviously. Like, Ballista, I guess, could be annoying. Yeah, Trinisphere is irrelevant here. If they have another Tron land, we're not beating Ulamog. I still think we send 3 damage at Karn, send the rest at their face, because I don't think we're beating another hate piece out of their deck. Now, in hindsight, obviously, keeping Gut Shot would have been better than what happened, but yeah, we're just going to get Ulamog here and then die. I think you take out the 2 flyers. Yep. See if they play any follow-ups this turn. We're just not dealing 7 damage before they mill us out. Definitely want the wildfires. Definitely want the abrades. Spell Pierce, maybe? Like, do we want Pierce here? Try it like that. So I'd like to play first. Another 1-land hand, right? Like, I can't throw this hand back, but at the same time, if we don't hit a second land drop, we're not winning this game. Yeah, but 1 land is also where you die. Like, that's the problem I'm having this league, and I think the problem I'm having with Izzet overall is just it's how you live, but also how you die. Opponent mulligan to 5. I'm not playing cute. It's going to blow up their ability to gain Tron quickly. I guess I probably should mulligan one land hands more often than I do. Like, I tend to keep the high upside one land hands, especially on the draw. Hey, Nicholas, thanks for the follow. Not really unloading my hand here because there's not too much they can have next turn that I care about. Especially since they're just going to end up cycling Relic most likely here. Yeah. Which ironically, Relic is completely irrelevant against us other than Lava Dart. Which I don't believe I even have in my deck currently. Nope. Well, yeah, but that's just it. Is like you're hitting 17 out of 52. You're hitting roughly like 35% of the time. And even here, we need to get a little bit lucky. Like, we might have to hold up... okay, that bails us out a little bit. So now I can, like, unload my entire hand and still have some defense up next turn, depending on what they've got. Yeah, 35, 33% of the time. Like, not great odds. Like, the hands where where the deck does this, it's amazing. But you need to hit 2 and 3 lands to do that. Well, it's not even, like, maybe this version is because I'm not running, like, Bedlam Reveler or anything. But the deck's not Glass Cannon. It's just really, it's almost like Infect. You have to have that mix to kill quickly. Like, that's one of the things about Hayashi's builds and about, like, the red-black Prowess decks, is those decks can take the slower mid-range approach and not, like, care about the early game as much. Whereas this version, it's like, if you don't kill them early in a lot of matchups, you're just in trouble. I would say it's more akin to Infect than Boggles. Because Boggles you can't interact with. This deck can be interacted with. I think it comes down to playstyle more than just this deck's better than X. Like this deck, like this hand has no spells to speak of, and like, when I'm on Magic Online, I don't care about the financially cheaper because I borrow the cards. But to me, I don't know. So you mean I can take a turn off of blowing things up to actually get more pressure down? I'm down for that. Yeah, like, I don't know. I think playing Hayashi's version has really, like, kind of opened my eyes as to just, like, I think we get so pigeonholed into certain things that we only play certain ways. And, like, I look at this deck and say, okay, what problems do I have with deck A? The problem I have with this deck is when it doesn't hit its land drops. Might have been stupid to play this out, but if they just spend their entire turn losing a land drop, I think I'm okay with that. And I get to play another Spirit. At the minimum, I get to play another Sprite Dragon. And clock them for 3. Obviously, they could hit us with like a TKS here, which would be like worst case scenario. But even that, we're redundant because of Sprite Dragon. Then we get to play Soulscar Mage post-combat, continue the pressure. I still need to draw spells or have them play an artifact that, like, Oblivion Stone here that they can't crack. You know, something. Okay, now they're just going to get Tron again. Blocking. Nope, Karn. Okay. Can you get for 1 mana? Probably nothing of relevance here. So we have a turn. Yeah, I actually like Wildfire better than Blood Moon, especially in this version. And I'm not even sure that I hate it in the mono red version like the Hayashi was playing. Like, I understand, yeah, Relic of Progenitus is absolutely meaningless against us. Is that lethal? 2, 5, 7. Yep, they actually played out their own doom. Thank you, opponent. Thank you. Come again. Three, 5, 7, 9. Exactly lethal. Ay, 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 ay. But yeah, I think next time out, I'm going to at least add a 19th land, probably a Fiery Islet. Just that way, you know, like this hand. Oh no, I'm not, like, giving up on the league. I'm just, I always try to, even when the deck isn't going well or is running into bad matchups or any of that kind of nonsense, I always try to have some takeaway from, like, whatever is going on. And I think the main takeaway is just the fact that I'm losing to not drawing enough lands most of the time. This time I might lose because I'm against Eldrazi Tron. Guess we'll find out. Alright, so opponent did keep 7, so okay, Stormwing Entity and a land. Not the best, not the worst. Which version of Tron are you on? Looks like you're on pretty much. Feels like they're green Tron. No, and no. I think I spend this turn casting Soulscar Mage and praying. I'm not sure what Tron payoff we actually beat here. Maybe Karn. I guess Karn could be one we could potentially beat. Don't think we're beating Wormcoil here, and I don't think we're beating oh, okay. You have Chalice on one? They're dismembering. Okay. It's still not good for the home team. It's okay. Like, we still need to run pretty good off of this Lutz here. Can I kill him here is the question mark. Okay, we have 2 lava darts. I can only flash back 1. Sprite Dragon would... So we get to hit them for 4? 4 plus 2 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. Alternatively, I could cast Stormwing Entity, only hit them down to 5, still have Sprite Dragon next turn. Yeah, I'm thinking Stormwing Entity might be the best bet here. I don't even know if we actually swing this turn. Yeah, that might be correct. Yeah, we're definitely bottling both of those. Yeah, I still think we swing here. Actually, no. If they block, we can actually kill the Reality Smasher here. Well, we set up to not draw lands next turn anyway. 10 mana. Are we about to get Ulamogged or Walking Ballisted? Reality Smasher doesn't matter. Maze Mind Tone doesn't matter. You can't dismember. It's nice to seal that game. Unfortunately, without Blood Moon, this matchup is actually significantly worse. Like, I don't know how much Cleansing Wildfire actually buys us in this matchup. Like, we definitely want the Abrades. I still think we want the Wildfires, although they're not particularly good. Like, they're good against the Tron draws, but not all that great against the... whatchamacallit draws? Once again, I think we want to get rid of the Ops because they're filler. Probably go down Lava Darts here. We want the Gut Shots to trigger Stormwing Entity. Gives us 3 outs to Chalice, which isn't great. Spell Pierce has some merits. No, that's too cute. That's way too cute. Wildfire's fine. Surgical's just too cute. Like, they're a mid-range aggro deck. They're still racing us back. We can't take that much damage to maybe get rid of a land. Maybe. But Wildfire I definitely think is fine. It's not great. It's fine. Like, if it were Blood Moon and we're on the play, it's great. But Cleansing Fire can be okay. Don't think I like any of the rest of the cards, so submit. Could be possible we're supposed to leave in the Lava Darts and board out the Burst Lightnings. Because Burst Lightning only really deals with Matter Reshaper. Now we have the opposite problem here, right? Like, we have 4 lands and 3 spells. So as much as I'm sitting here talking about how much I want land drops, then I get these hands and it's just like... This hand's really awkward. I think we gotta go to 5. Sounds alright, it's workable. Back. Steam Vents and Brazen Borrower, I guess. Automatically draw Stormwing Entity. Ballista for 1. That's mildly annoying. Mainly because we're on these stupid Sprite Dragon, or yeah, Sprite Dragons. So I guess we Stormwing Entity and pray. Still think we Stormwing Entity here. We don't even know if they have Tron lined up next turn. I think that's a top. Definitely want to top the mountain. Do I want to top the Burst Lightning? think we can do better. You have Natty Tron? You do? Alright. It's possible I even should have scooped there, just to avoid the information of them seeing the Cleansing Wildfire. Dealing with the Walking Ballista here, I don't want them to attack with that much mana in a Walking Ballista, especially if they have another land drop. I don't know if this is a race we're winning, but I think racing is our best chance with as low as we are on resources. Yeah, we're not beating the boat. It's possible that I could one Spell Pierce here on the draw, but I think holding up 1 mana in the first 2 or 3 turns, which is probably about the only time it's relevant, can be very detrimental to our game plan. Oh, this hand. If this were any other creature, this hand would be perfectly reasonable. Like, what does this hand do? Best case scenario, we draw Manamorphose and turn 2 Stormwing. Or draw a 3rd land and turn... yeah. I mean, I guess we'd keep it, but this hand is just, like, so bad. Like, it's keepable, but it's not aggressive, and we need to be aggressive in this matchup. Could fire off a Lava Dart, but really for no value, so why bother? Puts them behind a mana, which I'm perfectly fine with. Our mana is set up pretty nicely. Now we just need to find ways to close out the game before they can get back into it. Okay, sure. A Lava Dart instead. There's a decent chance we could get TKS next turn, which is annoying, but it's kind of whatever. What did they grab? Did they grab Eldrazi Temple? No, they grabbed a Tron land. I think I'm going to go with Storming Entity here. Leave that on top. Oh, they already had another Eldrazi Temple. Gotcha. Really want them to take a Braid here, I think. Yeah, because now I get to double spell, plus I get to double spell, kill the Thought-Knot Seer, hit them for 5, play another flyer, say go. Which, while it's not the best exchange, at least we're advancing our board position and killing their play. Prison Borrower is not terrible, I suppose. Manamorphose and Swiftspear. I think I'm interested in Manamorphose, not so much Swiftspear. Well, yeah, I know I draw. It's still a 2 for 1 in their favor. Or 3 for 2. Hopefully they don't have another TKS. Actually, I guess I'm fine with a TKS here. What would I not want to see? Okay. What does that do? They traded 2 mana to make 1 mana? Is Mind Tome not quite relevant? No, they could have Smashered this turn if they had it. Doing this all main phase in case we hit another mountain. We want to be able to flash back. Can I kill them this turn? Balance the Maze Mind Tome. Trigger, go to 5. Flashback 1, Lava Dart. I think I'm supposed to crack this. See if we hit a mountain. Sprite Brat Dragon, change the math. So that's 10. 11. So that's 4. 10. Just trying to think what matters more. Bouncing their Maze Mind Tome, their Scion, or putting them to 1. 10, 11, 12. Actually, I guess we only deal them 12 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 1 land off of, or 1 mana off of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All is dust. War Dog, it's not that simple this turn. I think I sack the thing here to bounce that. Because it looks like they're trying to set up Ola's Dust. They have Dismember here too? That'd be rough. Yeah, Ola's Dust, I think, is the card that beats us here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now they can't Ola's Dust. What can they do here? Which Bane Orb? That's not particularly relevant. And you're dead? Nice. So that hand paid off, even though it wasn't the fastest in the world. Just really want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I greatly appreciate that, especially on a weekend night. I know there's a whole lot of different things you could be doing. I appreciate you spending some of your time here with me. If you're new to the channel, please consider giving us a follow here. And if you really like the channel, please consider giving us a subscription here on Twitch. And if you like red content, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Link is down below. One more match, and then we'll be given a wrap-up, and then switching over to a little bit of World of Warcraft to wrap up the night. It's kind of what I've been doing the last couple of streams, is just doing a burn league or a prowess league, and then switching over for like a half hour, 45 minutes of World of Warcraft. Probably something similar we'll do tonight. Hopefully with a little bit better result than the last couple leagues. So, here we go. I'd like to play first. Yes, I would. This hand once again has that one land issue problem. Still think we keep this hand, but maybe... is like, are these hands supposed to be mulligans? I honestly don't know. Yeah. Alright, so we got bailed out by our deck. Maybe it's supposed to play Stormwing Entity there, Mutagenic Growth in the Stormwing Entity. Guess we'll find out here in a sec what we're up against. Uro Pile. No other land drop. Okay. Scrimey River. Morphos seems like a good card. Got a Lava Dart here. Don't think we cash in the back end quite yet. Is this a concession? Feels like a concession lockup. Yep. So all we know is we're up against Growth Spiral .deck. Probably want the Surgicals. Probably want the Gusts. Probably want the Spell Pierces. So trust me, I got this. Yeah, this particular game, it certainly did. Probably get rid of the Gut Shot. Or Lava Darts, maybe. Shave a Stormwing. And opt. Try it like that. Surgical in case they're on Uro. Ether Gust because they show us green spells. Spell Pierce because this is a game that's going to go a little bit longer, I guess. So. Well. I mean, we see our sideboard cards, so we're going to win, right? Alright, this hand's perfectly functional. Keep. Back Steam Vents. Opponent's going to 5. Fortunately, we don't have any like knockout cards like Blood Moon in this particular matchup, but you know, our opponent showed us basic forest, basic whatchamacallit, so Appeal to the Dead on 1. Okay. Bit of an awkward hand for our opponent, looks like. Hopefully we can run them down before they recover. Do you have an Anger of the Gods? Concession lockup? Nice. You do not know how good a 3-2 feels after 2 consecutive 2-3s. I know that sounds crazy. Sounds crazy. But, yeah. Yeah, 3-2. Kind of bad to be that excited about a 3-2. But, thought process, I think the first thought process is, at minimum, cut an opt, get the 4th Fiery Islet in there. I know it's more damage we're going to be taking in terms of, like, lands and compared to our spells and stuff. But the biggest takeaway for me is I don't like losing to not hitting my land drops. And like the 19th, especially like a 4th Canopy land, like yes, it's a lot of damage and we have a very color intensive deck, but being able to play our spells I think is so critically important in this deck. And yes, we're going to flood out maybe a little bit more. Thanks, War Dog. Appreciate that. But it's like, it's so important to hit our land drops. As far as some of the other details, I really like the Cleansing Wildfires against Tron. I think, I thought that they would be really good against Green Tron. I wasn't sure how I felt about them against Eldrazi Tron. And I honestly think that it performed very well against Eldrazi Tron there, turning their Eldrazi Temple on 1 into a wastes, slowing them down enough to get our Stormwing entities down and closing out the game. As far as that kind of stuff goes, obviously I think you saw the strength of things like Stormwing Entity and Sprite Dragon to be able to fly over the top over random dumb idiots, whether it be Reality Smashers, Wormcoil Engines, that evasiveness, plus the fact that Swiftspear and Sprite Dragon have haste, so you have more outs that actually kill your opponent or can deal your opponent damage, from vulnerable Born State, as opposed to like, a lot of the red decks, especially the Prowess decks, you have like one haste threat, like you have Swiftspear and that's it, and then a lot of them are running, things like Bone Crusher Giant, Bedlam Reveler, Soulscar Mage. there's just a lot of threats that don't have haste, and I really think that's one of Red's strengths, is just its ability to close out the game. And giving that up, if you don't have it on your first 2 setup turns, a lot of times it's just kind of a dead top deck. And it's nice having some amount of creatures that have haste, or like the Brazen Borrower, the one a Brazen Borrower could potentially play at the end of turn. Having pseudo haste with the flash ability, so this one hasn't come up much, but I really wouldn't be surprised if our Eldrazi Tron opponent was sitting on a All Is Dust. And that would have been very, very bad for the home team. But, we tried to play around the thing that could kill us the best we could. We got the win there. Got the win against Green Tron, which has been few and far between for me with Prowess decks. Cleansing Fire felt decent there. The first 2 matches, oops, all spells. Those kind of decks are just like, do you have interaction? If you don't, you're dead. And, one of the downsides of playing red decks is you don't have interaction. You don't have Thoughtseize. You don't have Inquisition. You don't have Force of Negation. You don't have Spell Pierce usually. So, obviously Red-Black Lurrus does, but Red-Black Lurrus is more of a mid-range deck than traditional red or Izzet Prowess. So, thanks, Korik. I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate your subscription. Thank you so much, man. But, that said, I've been suitably impressed by this deck tonight. Once again, as much as I was, kind of kvetching the first couple matches, I think I won a 19th land. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm just, conservative with my land drops. But I really just want to hit my land drops. So, that said, it's that time where I know I lose viewers, but I'm just going to be switching over to World of Warcraft. So, I'm going to be switching over to World of Warcraft, continuing our adventures on our Human Warrior. So, if you're just here for the Magic content, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. I'll probably be back. I'll let you guys know tomorrow afternoon if I plan on streaming tomorrow. With work days, it's a lot harder to be I'm going to stream and be great and energetic and mind coherent. So, yeah, but GDS also has more cantrips than, some of them play 17, but they also play Bobble and Street Wraith. So they're effectively playing a 52 card deck. So, and they also play Thought Scour, so they play 12 cantrips. So it's a little bit easier for GDS to manage than a deck like Prowess. But we're going to be switching over to Magic. I'm going to be stopping the recording on the Izzet Prowess.